I know everyone has their opinion on the situation with Cassie and Diddy, and some people feel like, why did she take the money and not just go to court? I can understand her taking the money with everything she stated that she went through from the time she was 19 being with him, and everything that he put her through. Going to court would just drag that out because you can set a court date and say, well, I don't have enough evidence, I need more time, and it can just keep dragging the situation out. And I feel that she suffered enough and she don't need to keep dragging this out. She put her information out there. She went ahead and became vulnerable to allow the world to know what she's been through. And I know that can be hurting and devastating because I am a person who came from being molested at the age of 9 and also being in a physical, mentally, and emotionally abusive relationship. So that can be a situation that you will never, escape from. You will never live it down or die, have it. It would just always be a part of who you are as a person moving forward. And so that's something she's going to have to deal with for the rest of her life. There's no amount of money that she could have gotten that will erase those years that she spent with him. And so I'm 100% behind her. I don't feel that there was a money grab based on everything she stated she went through. And it's just that he's a very horrible person, and his time is really coming because now that she put all this information out there, he gives other victims of his opportunity to come forward and state their truth, even if they don't end up going to court, but at least state their truth to let the world know who he really is. A while back, I had watched a movie, and the name of the movie was Carlito's Way, Rise to Power. And one of the people in the movie was Puffy, Sean Combs. And he played a character called Hollywood Nikki. And when I was hearing the things that she said that she went through with him, with him being on drugs, getting her on drugs, and all these other things, blowing up people's cars, it's like he still think he's in that movie. Like he still really think he's a gangster. So at this point, I don't see him as Sean Combs. I don't see him as Puffy. I don't see him as Brother Love. I see him as Hollywood Nicky because that's the character he's playing in his mind is Hollywood Nicky. So that's who I see him as. He's still calling that world as far as being a gangster, thinking that he can do all this stuff to people and just get away with it, and there's no repercussion. So moving forward, that is who he is to me, Hollywood Nicky. And so as far as with her, I'm glad that she was able to be able to come forward and speak her truth, and hopefully be able to move forward with her life and kind of try to put this behind her as much as she can. And then another thing I want to say too, a while back we kept hearing this word, high value man. That is one of the words that was one of the words that was truly irking my nerves. And I think I made a video about that. I cannot stand that word. I couldn't stand it then when I kept hearing it. When people was making videos about what is a high value man, he was considered a high value man. You don't think about all the stuff he did. A lot of people would look at him as being a high value man. And that's one of the things that hurt my nerves about that is a lot of men who make a lot of money, not all men, but a lot of men who make a lot of money is just like him. They're narcissistic, they're conceited, they think they're above the law, and they think they can treat women any kind of way and men as well any kind of way and get away with it and they're fine with it. So when they're putting these values on these men because they have money, because they make so much money, and they're like, oh, these are the men that you should strive for as women. No, the man who took Cassie away from him, that is the high value man. He's a lousy Hollywood Nicky. He's not worth ish. The man who took her away from that, he's the high value man. And those are type of men as women that you should get with. I understand people have their standards as far as if I'm making this much money, I want my man to make, this much or more money. I understand that. But just stop walking around like high value men has a particular dollar sign on there. It's more to being a high value man than just a dollar sign. Because some of these high value men with these dollar signs behind them aren't, worth the time of day. Just like Hollywood Nikki is not worth the time of day. So just as young women, just remember that. And as far as her getting the money, it's biblical. In Proverbs 13:22 in ESV, it states, "A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous." He's not righteous. He's a sinner. All this stuff that he's done, and some of it been, I'm gonna say allegedly done, for legal reasons, whatever. But from what she put in her deposition and what other people have said about him blowing up cars, allegedly blowing up cars, or having cars blown up, offering people different things like that, allegedly. So his wealth is stored up for the righteous. So anyone who has a gripe against him, who really has a gripe against him, not just trying to hop on the bandwagon, but really been through some stuff with him, now they're in a position where they may feel more comfortable to come forward and speak their truth. And also one last thing I want to say to Cassie. I know they probably told you can't write a tell-all book, but also when I was younger, I had this friend, and we used to go to the library. She used to read novels, and she got me into reading novels. So, because we didn't have the internet or anything like that, we would go down to the public library and check out books. And one of the first books I read was called Valley of the Dolls, and it was a fictional book. It was by Jacqueline Suzanne, and it was written in 1966. It was about these three young women who wanted to make it big in Hollywood and New York. And so it was based on factual information, based on, true events, but the names was changed to protect the innocent, guilty, or whoever, so, but, it was true information as far as how you see these women trying to make it in this world of entertainment in one way or another, and how they was taken advantage of and used up by men. And then another book that I read was called Hollywood Wives. That was by Jackie Collins, and that was written in like 1983. And it was about Hollywood wives and what they was going through, with their husband and different things like that. So it was like based on true stories, but it was also a fictional book. So if you ever decide to write a book, Valley of the Dolls sold like 31 million copies, and Hollywood Wives sold like 15 million copies. So I'm sure, Cassie, if you ever decide to write a fiction book based on Hollywood Nikki or whoever, I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in reading that. I know I would. And, that would allow you to become a writer and write fictional books about true events that, you change the name to protect the innocent or maybe protect the guilty or whatever. But, my heart goes out to you. I'm glad you was able to, come forward and tell your truth, tell what happened to you. I'm glad you was able to come to a settlement. And I just pray for you and wish the best for you. And I also pray for Hollywood Nikki because, God would deal with him. Peace.